you feeling stuck, lost, tired, or uninspired? We've all been there, including myself. I'm Coach Des, mindset motivator and lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm here to tell you that the best, unapologetic, and limitless version of yourself is yet to come. The Born Unbreakable podcast is here to inspire just that. With motivating guests from all different walks of life and around the world, their stories will empower you to unlock abundance and your unbreakable spirit. Do you need accountability? Reach out to me for a free consultation of how I can support you in reaching your maximum potential. This episode is brought to you by Sherpa Way Marketing. Are you a business looking to gain greater visibility online through search engine optimized content? Maybe you need effective ad campaigns to kickstart or bolster traffic to your website. Sherpa Way Marketing has seasoned experts that are bilingual in English and Spanish. Let them take the guesswork away and enhance your brand positioning with their comprehensive marketing services. Go to sherpawaymarketing.com. That's SHERPAWAY marketing.com to schedule your free 45-minute consultation today. Welcome to the Born Unbreakable podcast. We are officially in spring. I was just telling my incredible guest, who we'll get to hear more from in just a moment, Mark Smith, that the season has changed. And it is this metaphorical thing about life is that, well, the seasons change. We as individuals and people and communities change and grow, and the world, is changing all around us. So I'm excited today to really dig into the topic of purpose and growth and leaving a legacy. And I have no better person here today than to dig into that. So Mark, as I mentioned, is my guest. He's served in a multitude of roles, so I won't highlight them all, but just to name one of the recent ones, he was vice president of the MACCA, which is the Mid-Atlantic Career Counseling Association. He's actually in Baltimore, Maryland right now. So we're having this nationwide, kind of conversation. As those of you who've listened to me know that I've ventured to different parts of the West Coast, and I was in California. Now I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mark has also worked previously in the Department of Labor. He's an alumni of Ohio State University. Represent Ohio. Got a lot of folks who love the sports and everything that comes out of that wonderful place. I've personally worked there myself, so have a beautiful appreciation for all things Ohio. And one of the things I'm most excited about from Mark is his podcast that's called The Process. So that your first assignment is to go and look up The Process wherever you listen to podcasts. And he really offers insights into how we go through the storms of life. And so we'll talk more about The Process today. And one of the things I was most excited about is a quote that Mark lives by, which is change begins and ends within. And I think that's beautiful. And so, Mark, I just want to thank you and welcome you to the show today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. You mentioned the weather. 2 days ago here in the Maryland area, it was 80 degrees. Now we're in the 40s. Raining, cold. I got the jacket on. It's even cold in the house. So, but you know what? It's still warm in my heart and my spirit. So that's all that matters.
That is right. I was telling Mark that I did some traveling this week. So I made my way through Salt Lake City, through Denver, Colorado. I was in Memphis, Tennessee for some work, turned back around and was in Dallas. And there was sun, there was rain, there was some snow, there was some wind. Yet, we make it through the storms, legitimately, figuratively, literally. And so, all of that is actually a reminder of our resilience. The weather is kind of an analogy, to life. So I certainly appreciate, being able to go through that and travel through different places. But Mark, before I dive into some of the deep questions around purpose and and all the good things we'll get into, I'd love for you to start with your personal story. Talk to me about how the journey of Mark from, what got you passionate to be of service to people and purpose. How did you get into this space?
I always like to say this. I used to say that this line of work that I'm doing now, which is I like to say transformational versus transactional conversations. It started a long time ago. I'm a former athlete, so I was always around sports. You're around individuals who are pushing for the same goal, and that's to win or at least be the best that they can be at all times. So going back to my years of high school, I was always called upon to kind of motivate the other individuals who were on the team, and I kind of was at odds with coach. Why me? Why me? Why do you want me to do this? I'm just a normal guy with nothing different. He said, because Mark, I see greatness in you that you don't see in yourself. So I mean, I took that on the chin, continued on with my life, and that had kind of been the unspoken words that have had spoken to me from the time that I actually went back and revisited some things, and of which I'm sure we're going to talk about when we talk about legacy, with some of the individuals who impacted my life from the beginning. They saw things in me that I couldn't see, or I'm going to say that I refused to see, that I accepted to see that was within myself, because I chose, again, use that word chose, to do just enough. And we all know that enough is not enough, or good is not good if better can be best. So I had to learn that, and I learned that the hard way from being passed over opportunities repeatedly, which I wrote about in the process, to losing to a failed marriage, which was again 50% my fault. I don't say that she was 100% responsible for it. To understanding the value of love, life, and happiness over the course of my period of time. And I also chronicle a lot, Coach Des, about taking 40 years of my life to actually having not sleeping well. And by not sleeping well, I mean exercising and trying to remove those demons of things that I had going on in my life that I just didn't close the door and throw them out and let them go. I was holding on to things that shouldn't be. So the evolution of Mark is I'm continuous work in progress, but every day I find that I can leave an individual bitter or I can leave an individual better. So my choice is to leave them better every time I have a conversation with them, to let them know that it's okay. It's okay to fall short sometimes, but let me ask the question, what are you going to do the next time? Have you learned something from this particular situation? Didn't say problem. I said situation, because we all are going to get through no matter what it is. May not be the way we like it, but we're going to get through it. If we're listening, if we can hear, we can see, we got through it. Again, it's just not the way that we liked it. So that is kind of how this all started to kind of like they stir in the pot, get that pot nice and hot. Just how it
Oh
all started
yeah.
to stir before it started to explode to what I started writing in 2018 called The Process.
Wow. That cauldron is just in the making for you to build the process. And I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking about something so important you said, which is this concept of letting go.
Mhm.
I think the further maturity we go on in life, the more experiences we build, we grow, but that can stick with us. And there are remnants, I'll call them remnants, of things, for better or for worse, that stay with us, that we need to go through a process
Mhm.
to figure out how to let go, how to heal, how to grow, how to move forward, and how much of our time is spent on looking backwards versus looking forward. And I think we get caught. There
Mhm.
is this place that we get caught in, and you have to make a decision about, how much longer you look in the rearview mirror before you crash,
Mhm.
because you're not paying attention to what's in front of you, which is the possibility, which is the future, which is hope, and which is the opportunity to learn from those things
Mhm.
that we're staring back at, of
Mhm.
the past. So
Mhm.
I appreciate you being vulnerable to talk, to say, divorce and things that, there could be people listening and cringing, as they reflect on their own relationships or their own, uh, breakups, and things of that nature. And I am right there with you because I've been in that boat, more than one occasion. So I appreciate you sharing that. But take me to 2018.
Wow,
What was
2018.
the catalyst? What was the catalyst for the process?
I think I go back and look at two major things that happened, and both of them became centered around the world. The word acceptance. The first acceptance came because I always tell a story when I have conversation about one of them. Let me back up. I'm gonna start with this. I have a tagline that I always say at the end of any one of my messages, and that is, "Your why is greater than your situation, which is part of your process." Now, let me give you some credence to that. Back in 2002, I lost my father. I lost my father to a tough battle with prostate cancer. And everybody that knows me knows that my father and I had some rough times going a conversation. And I take onus of a lot of it because, again, being a former athlete, being an only child, you thought your own poop didn't stink sometimes. But there's only one man in that house, and that was him. But I did, I was foolish enough, and we have to call it the way it is. I was foolish enough not to accept that as that being the case. And we had some rough times, but later on in life, he became my best friend. We There wasn't anything that we didn't do together. We talked, the last couple years before he passed away. I mean, we had a conversation on the phone every single day about something. He was in Ohio at that time. I was in Arizona, and every October, which was his birthday, he would come to Arizona. We get on the plane, we go to Vegas. My treat, we'd have a ball. I mean, every year for a couple of years until he passed away. So in 2000, from 2002 to 2018, it became a rough time for me. And it became a rough time for me because, one, I was angry. I was angry I was angry at God. I was angry at myself. I was angry at a whole lot of things because I felt that he shouldn't have done this to take this prized possession, what I called a possession, from me at that particular time. And to add insult to injury, when he died in 2002, he died on November 19th. November 19th is my birthday. I was born in November 19th, 1964. So it took me 16 years to I want to say, come to an understanding, or that word accept, that there was a true meaning behind what happened there, or my growth process from that point to there. So that was one. The second thing that happened in December of that year in 2018 is that I had been working in post secondary education. I've been working there for 15 years, from a regional director to a admissions manager to a regional trainer, all those glorified titles in the admissions field. And one day I remember my campus president coming to me and telling me, "Hey, Mark, I need to see you in my office." And like any of us, we all thinking, "What the heck did I do?" So you march in that office, worried, stressed out. And we close the door, and he tells us that they're closing the building. They're closing the campus that day. Not in a week, not in a month, but that day. So I'm dealing with the fact that I'm finally understanding what job loss is, because I've never lost a job in my life. I've quit jobs didn't quit me. And then now that I have that time off from work right around Christmas of 2018, I'm trying to gravitate again. Here goes another year with my father, or minus my father. And all of a sudden it hit me, and I said, "Wait a minute, Mark. What is the message that has been knocking on your door for 16 years? Better yet, why haven't you accepted this message?" The message was that there's always going to be a gradual reminder that obstacles will test hope, growth. Everything that you go through is a reason for it to impact you and to make you better. An obstacle is an opportunity for you to really understand who you are, should you choose to take that time to understand who you are. I've given you 16 years to really manifest and think about where you are in your life and what you needed to do. You made some strides, but there's still some things in that heavy bag of life that you need to put away and get rid of. And the one was accepting my father's passing, as being honored and blessed, that the day that I was born was the day that God chose to take my father home. That's a blessing. That is truly a blessing. Not many people can say that. So, Mark, you're honored, you're highly favored and blessed to have that day of significance of life and life. Secondly, when you don't realize that them closing their doors on you gave you the opportunity to pursue a passion that you always have done, period. You've always motivated people. You've always been able to get people inspired about your messages and your stories. You've always been able to collectively infect people with positivity. Now I'm challenging you to do it at another level. Play, or as we say, playtime is over. It's time to get in the game and make things happen. And from that point on, I sat down and said, it's something needs to change. I need to chronicle messages, chronicle things in a way that other individuals can receive them. They can revolve around them. They can pick them out, choose them, put them on a plate, and serve them the way that they feel is applicable in their life. And I came up with the process and said, "Hey, let's do it different. Let's do it with acronyms to make it stick to people and stick inside their heart." And that's how it started.
That is incredible. And I think there's so much power in just sitting for a minute and embracing the word acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy one
Mm-hmm.
to sit and digest when the magnitude of what you're talking about feels so great.
Mm-hmm.
Death, life, experiences, in between. There that for some reason I don't think there was a coincidence, in the date,
No, never.
with the timing of your father's passing. And there was the word that I thought of when you were talking was epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
There was this awakening, that happened as you're putting all these puzzle pieces together of something that was so, you know, big, like your father's passing, but then, also the loss of a job was the birth of a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much growth in that. And that's the definition of growth is be having a blank canvas for
Mm-hmm.
you to draw on. And so now it's been almost 4 years of you building the stories, the experience, the process.
Mm-hmm.
So what has that been like now, over the course of these 4 years? What does that look like for the process?
It's been amazing. It really has been. It's like looking at a newborn baby and seeing that baby just smile and look at you. It's what I feel like when I have an opportunity to deliver a message. To when I get done writing a message to and then reading it back and going through and reciting it and then getting on and recording it and then getting the feedback. It's just it's a feeling of euphoria, but it's something that has been called on to do. And I remember my wife asked me right after because I give her so much credit for being sticking by my side through the tough times, but also being a constant motivator about a message that I write. One of the first ones that I wrote was I talked about pride. And I think that a lot of us, especially, and I can speak I mean, I know it goes with men and women. I can only speak from a man's point of view. And I know a lot of times we feel as though that we can't open up to a woman and express how we feel. So when I
Mhm.
started thinking about that in 2018, I said, one of my messages, I'm going to write on pride. And I said that pride stands for please remember ignorance destroys everything. Please remember
Thank
ignorance
you.
destroys everything.
Thank you. I mean, there are ladies and men, listening to this and maybe having different reactions to what you just said, but th- this is real.
Hmm.
Pride, ego is is a real thing in personal relationships for men and professional ones.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you have to sit and evaluate how that shows up and how you show up, to be able to have that most authentic, vulnerable self,
Mhm,
because oftentimes that gets pushed down
Mhm.
And for a lot of different reasons.
Mhm.
The cultural norms,
Mhm.
society, whether you're in the United States or outside of it, and especially in other countries that are masculine driven,
Mhm.
whether whatever viewpoint you're looking at that from, whether it's financial, economic, religious, there is an expectation,
Mhm.
whether it's spoken or unspoken, about how males show up with
Mhm.
their pride.
Mhm.
So what else, if there's a man listening right now and they're, nodding their head about, yeah, I can't, don't want to talk about that with my wife, or don't want to talk about feelings, or my partner, or my colleagues, or my kids, what would you tell them about pride?
I would tell you it can make or break a relationship. It truly can. It is if you the biggest word in any time in any environment, whether it's our line of work, whether it's as you're the CEO, whether you're CFO, whether you're a individual who's on the assembly line, the biggest and most powerful word is called communication. It's communication. Because without communication, you have nothing. You have zero. So if you are concerned, if you have some issues that need to be taken care of, if you have, I use the word, or when I teach or train, I use the word and I say I seek clarification over confrontation. Clarification over confrontation. If I can only, and that's where the pride comes in, because please remember, ignorance destroys everything. If I don't ask, if I don't know, then how can I have clarity to move forward and accept who I am and where I'm chosen to be? And the fact of the matter is, most of our dream, and sadly, most of our dreams are usually influenced by the world. But our purpose is owning everything about who we are, and who we are is who we're designed to be. We are uniquely created. There's only one of a kind, and we thwart ourselves from living our best life
Mm,
by pride sometimes. However, we need to all get over that aspect of it and try and find a way to where we can. I use the word adage as well: hungry but humble. We remain hungry, but we also remain humble in everything that we do, so we have our eyes open, the blinders are off, and we are able to move into different levels in life the way we need to move.
ugh. Being humbled is also a process,
Uh-huh.
right? That everybody has to go through. Well, and there's the admitting when you're wrong,
Mhm.
admitting when you've made a mistake, and also being honest that you've evolved and have changed your view on
Mhm.
something. Sometimes the old version of how we look at something doesn't serve the new version of who we've become today. And
Absolutely.
and and reconciling that is not always a simple process. It feels complex to
Mhm.
even get with it for ourselves and be able to articulate that to someone else, to say, I've changed, I've
Mhm.
evolved, and here's why, and here's how.
Mhm.
And so I would love to ask you about purpose.
Mhm.
This is something I think we all, as human beings, can struggle with, because when we wake up in the morning, sometimes we don't want to press on.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
want to stay in bed and just not deal
Mhm.
with all the things that are
Mhm.
in front of us, whether it's our families, whether it's our friendships, whether it's business, or the disappointments that
Mhm.
we have to work through in order to get to where we want to be and to become the best versions of ourselves. So, what would you say about purpose?
Wow. I would say that I'm gonna start it with this. Change is hard at first, it's messy in the middle, but it's rewarding in the end. Let me go back. Your why is greater than your situation, which is part of your process. Every single day, we are battling. And the most important battle, where the battle is lies all the time, is right between our eyes, or right between our ears. That is where it is. And there are days when, I can speak of going back, looking in my rearview mirror, that there were days that I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to get up. Days to where I just, like, just take me out of here. I can't deal with this anymore, the pressure. But I always reached down. I always said that if you brought me this far, there's more for me to go. And I encourage everybody to think about that, even though when you feel that rock bottom is a pretty daggone good foundation for you to step up. It is a pretty good foundation for you to look up and go forward. So it's tough. A lot of times it's really tough when you see no end. You feel as though the whole world and everything's crashing down on you. I would just encourage you to, one, seek resources. Okay, there should be some resources in your particular area, and or if not, call me. Call me. I definitely will have some words of encouragement for you to keep you, to keep you going and keep you positive and get your mind redirected to another level. Secondly, all of us have a something to push forward for. We just have not accepted. Use that word at the very beginning. Accepted what that is and what that's for. And I think a lot of times when we go back and we look at our lives over the course of the time, we will find that the majority of the time there have been bright and shining moments in each step in each session of our lives. We have to go back and revisit that. Not everybody's life has always been sad and negative. And again, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I've been there. I understand. I got the T-shirt, got a couple T-shirts, hoodies, ball caps, the whole 9 yards. I
Oh,
got it. I got it. But again, I would just encourage everybody to make sure that you are embracing and asking yourself the question, "Who am I?" I wrote a acronym and I entitled it GLOW. And I thought about what does it take for me to have that glow every single day. And it starts in my mirror. And I'm a unique breed. I get up at 4:30 every morning, 7 days a week. 4:30. I need that time to work out. I need that time to get my head mentally prepared for the day. So you can't get me off my square. 40 years ago, you could. Not today. You're not going to get me there because I know that I'm designed to help somebody else get to the next level. Just we all are designed to help somebody get to the next level. So I said, after I look at my mirror, I need to be able to walk out that door or jump on a Zoom call or get on the phone and exhibit gratitude living others will witness. That's glow. Gratitude living. I used the word, just said it before, a few minutes ago, hungry but humble. Hungry but humble. I need to basically infectiously let you know that, hey, it's okay. It's okay to feel bad. It doesn't make you a bad person. We all go through it. But guess what? You are designed. Use the word purpose. Purpose is not a platform. Purpose is who you are. You are purpose. You are built, constructed, designed, made in the image to do something great every single day. You have to accept it, accept it, and agree that that's what you're charged to do in your life. And always remember that somebody's watching you. Somebody's watching you. So you can and will get through it no matter what it is.
wow. You are purpose. It's
Yeah.
not just about a purpose, you are purpose. That is such a profound way to talk about purpose because one of the other things I'm acknowledging is we do wake up and make choices.
Mhm.
Waking up and getting your mind in the right headspace to lean into your purpose is a huge part of the process,
Mhm.
is taking the time for you physically, mentally, spiritually
Mhm.
before you go and start filling other people's cups up.
Mhm. You
You're
have to.
filling up your cup
You have to.
first.
I use the adage, and I mean, you can testify to this. You just got off an airplane, right? So
Oh,
the stewardess, the stewardess, a flight attendant said what when you got in. After they closed the cabin doors, they said if oxygen pressure should drop and the
yeah,
oxygen mask should fall, you take that and put it over yourself first. Then if
yeah.
you're traveling with a child or someone needs help, you blow in and put it on somebody else. How can we effectively help other people if we don't have our own oxygen? If we're not full of the things that we need to have. I talk a lot about the difference between our surroundings, our people that we surround ourselves with.
Mhm.
Always ask the question when I have a conversation. I ask them point blank, do you have a circle or a cage?
Oh, Mark, you're speaking to him right now. You're speaking to him. You said, "Do you have a circle or do you have a cage?"
Do you have a cage? Do you
That's
have
a
a
T-shirt.
Yeah, do you have a
That's a
cage?
T-shirt.
Do you? Do you have a circle? Do you have a cage? Because again, if you are the smartest person in the bunch and everybody keeps coming to you, guess what? You're never going to get to the levels that you truly need to get because you're
Oh my
spending so
gosh.
much energy on somebody else. You can't grow. How can you grow when you're exhausting everything that you have? So it's time to change your circle. It's
You had
time
to
to
drop the mic, Mike. Drop the mic. So and this is what I think is so serendipitous. And I do believe in the power of the universe and how people come together at the right time to emphasize, more beauty in the world.
Mhm.
So this morning, I kid you not, this is the truth. I have my notes right here. I'm going to bust them out just to prove it. Okay. Every Wednesday morning, I am in a mastermind
Mhm.
and it's at 5:30 a.m. So you see, you would be able to join because you wake up at 4:30 a.m. So you would be ready. You would be primed and ready. But it's entrepreneurs, we're from all around the country. And the purpose is to be accountable to who
Mhm.
we are, what we say, how we want to show up. We share our wins, we share how we take back our power. We, are in support of each other's goals. And, one of the big things that we discussed as our thing to think about as we walked away from the group was how we're designing our peer group.
Mhm.
Is it by default, meaning those are the people that are around you who we love? So don't
Mhm.
get it twisted. It's not We're not saying that they're not lovely people, or are we designing it on purpose?
Mhm.
And there is this distinction of, are the people around you elevating you, or are you always doing the elevating? Are you
Mhm.
spending more time talking? Or are you
Mhm.
spending more time listening?
Mhm.
And there is a balance in that,
Mhm.
because there's a lot that comes from teaching and sharing and all of that. But if you don't spend time as a student,
Mhm.
which I believe we're a student of life, so you are always a student forever.
Mhm.
There isn't a time when you don't sit in that seat, or at least I don't believe that personally. Um, then are you learning? And
Mhm.
are you growing? So that was the exact
Mhm.
conversation that just a few hours ago I was engaging in, and you're here speaking right now about whether or not we have a circle or a cage.
That's right. And it's so powerful. And I admit it. I had for many, many years, I had a cage. I cared what people thought. I did. I tried to appease, family members. I tried to appease friends. I tried to appease colleagues. I tried to appease everybody just to get them to like Mark. And Mark didn't know who Mark was. And it took that time for me to really break down and think about who I am, what I am, and what I'm truly designed to be. My purpose. I am purpose to get back to where I needed to be. So I had a couple of things that jumped off when I wrote this message. I said first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to create something. I wanted to design a memory when everybody hears what I have to say. And the first thing that came to mind was, okay, your logo. And you can see it in the back of it. There's two lions with TP inside of it, which is the process. And when I first had it designed, they said, "What do lions? Why lions? That could that be considered aggressive or challenging?" And I'm like, "No. If that is, you see a father and you see a cub, and that's knowledge speaks and wisdom listens." A lot of times you just talked about it right there when we talked about sometimes it's good to be quiet and listen. So it's time to take it back to some of the things that we need to do. We should always be listening more. I go through hours of listening to different podcasts, listen to different speakers, to listen to different things before I even pick up a pen or before I think about writing, just to get inspired. Because again, I want to be better every day, and I can't be better if I don't absorb and learn. I can't. I can't. I, I say comfort is a casualty of growth. What happened to me in 2018 when I lost my job, I was comfortable. Every day,
Oh.
day that we go through life and we wonder why things occur the way they occur, it's because we become comfortable. And it is a casualty of growth. We become complacent. We become stagnant. We become not appreciative of things,
Mm.
the simple things that happen in our life. And, I truly believe that, we just talked about change for a second ago. And when I get these men and women in these workshops, I ask them, I said, why are you here? And they'll tell me, I'm here for this, that, and the other. I said, number one, let me ask you a question. I said, are you here truly to change? Or have you really realized that the where you are right now, you're not happy with? Is that it? And they're like, yeah, I'm really not happy with it. I said, great. I understand that. Because most people don't change till the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change.
Mm.
They don't. They
Mm.
they don't. So which adds to my thing. Comfort is a casualty of growth.
It's
You
so
become
cozy.
Yeah,
Just right
absolutely.
there in your little cozy corner with your blanket in your comfort, and it's easy to stay there.
Mhm.
It's so
Mhm.
easy. The biggest thing in what you're saying is when you do, your results will also stay
It stays.
there.
That's right. That's right. And had it not been for them letting me go in 2018. Had it not been for my failed relationship, I would not know what love is truly about. Had it not been for my father passing away, had it not been for me being cut as a sophomore in in high school to be a high school All-American at the end of the day, had not these things happened all through my life, had I not lost a job, or had I not decided to relinquish my title with MACA, vice president. Had it not been for the fact that I had to relinquish my title with the Department of Labor, I would not be able to affect all these men and women in Baltimore and in Washington, D.C. on a daily basis doing something that I love, and I see it changing a legacy.
That brings me to my next point. You are right on. You are we are at this
We're
episode.
here. Are we
We are
here?
right here.
That's right.
We are here. Mark, all the changing of the seasons and the culmination of everything that we're talking about. What does it mean to you to leave a legacy?
I wrote legacy stands for leaders exemplify greatness among choices over the years. So I go back and I think of everybody, man and woman, who have affected me in my life. From, I chronicled and I wrote in my I finished a series not too long ago called Procrastination, the Thief of Time. Imagine that. And the final message in that series was called Legacy. So I talked about my high school or my little league football coach, John Mollison. John Mollison actually, 8 years old, playing for this man, and this man wasn't concerned about blocking and tackling. He wasn't concerned about X's and O's. He was concerned about teaching young men how to be great fathers when they have children, how to teach young boys how to do great things in your own community, how to never let an elderly woman not walk across the street by herself, how to always carry their groceries. These are things that he's coaching for free, but he's instilling wisdom and knowledge into young men at 8 years old. I talk about my very first job, which this carries so much weight in who I am and what I do now. My very first job, I worked for an organization called Youth Conservation Corps. And we were assigned, it was 8 of us, and you had to get picked. So, and who would really want to get picked to go out in the woods and dig walking trails? Who would sign up to get picked to do that at 12, 13 years old? But Mr. Thomas was my first boss, and he was rough on us. And he wasn't rough on us because he wanted us to be mean. He was rough on us because he wanted to teach us work ethic. And I go back and think about doing that. We had two shovels, a pickaxe, a wheelbarrow, and a tarp. And we had to clear and make a path, walking trails for 2 miles in through a brush. And I think about that that's what we've done in life. We had to go in and we have to clear things out inside of our life every single day with the tools that God has given us. So we have to use our mind, our intellect to get rid of the things, the trash, the debris, all the things that we're clearing a path to where we get to where we truly want to be. 2 miles is a lot, but our lives are a lot. So these are individuals that affected me to the man that I am today. To my high school principal, who she told us that on time means you're late.
Mm.
Dress for the job that you want, not for the job that you have.
Oh my gosh.
Be respectful at all times wherever you go, because ABR, always be ready. You never know when your time is going to come to be at that, have that opportunity. So you never take it for granted. She introduced the word poor, passing over opportunity repeatedly. So come on, these are in this that is legacy. These are individuals who have created standards of things of how we can take and apply, and they've applied in every area of my life. And I go back and I talk a lot about them because these are unsung heroes.
Mhm.
These are individuals that, unless you were around them, you never get these messages. But these messages are taught every single day. We just need to take the blinders off. We need to embellish the people that are in our circle, not our cage, and listen to what they have to say, and able to take our lives to the next level. That's legacy. That's legacy.
That's legacy. That is legacy. That is really, really good. And you're right, because the weeds and the debris and the leaves and the, you know, balls of hay, they're there, right? That's what
Mhm,
happens. They stir up, they get in your way, and in
mhm,
order for you to have stay on course with your purpose and
mhm.
have alignment, you have to have a clear path.
That's right. That's right. That is so
And
true.
and it's not a one-time deal. That's
No,
the other
it's
thing that he found. It's not like you do a deep cleaning in the spring and then there isn't that stuff that shows up again that you have to continue to clear that path.
those weeds come
So,
back. Those weeds come back.
mm,
those weeds come back. But
mm,
again, but if you notice, when they come back smaller than they did before,
mhm.
because you know how
And
to attack it.
you see them
Yeah.
because you're paying attention, right?
Absolutely.
So
Mhm,
things change, and I, one of the things that I appreciate so much about everything that you've just said about legacy are those influencers,
mhm,
because we all have them in our lives, and when we think about who they are, that is such a deep impact on us individually. Those
mhm,
are the teachers, those are the sage grandparents that
mhm,
said things that didn't quite make sense when they said them, and years later, you're sitting there basking in the words that were spoken, and there's so many moments like that, and
mhm,
for us to be able to embrace that and carry those things forward is absolutely legacy, and
mhm,
that's, such a beautiful reminder for anybody listening to reflect on
mhm. Now
and
I'm,
to
I'm
listen
finishing.
from.
I'm in the middle of a series right now that I'm writing and have released a couple episodes on. And
Mhm.
coincidentally, it's called "If I Only Knew Then What I Know Now." So it takes a deep dive and reflection of a lot of things that, and of course, I'm using acronyms with them, taking a deep dive into a lot of stories. I mean, I talk about a story that when I was 14 years old, and I was in charge of my little cousin on a Greyhound bus going from Columbus, Ohio to Charlotte, North Carolina, and how he got lost and how I had to go find him, and just the highs and lows and navigating through something else that we all go through, a storm, a true
Mhm.
storm while on the bus, and but how that equates to my life, and how I was adapting over a storm that, the bus kept going. The bus driver didn't stop. A lot of
Oh,
times
the train will leave the station with or without you.
with or
Just
without,
know that.
it
It
always
will
will.
leave with or without you. Bye. Bye.
Always will.
Somebody
But
else is gonna catch that train.
but again, it continued to push through. Just like sometimes we stop in the storm and don't push through. So these are so many different messages of things that have occurred, simple things in my life that I go back and look at and say, that's a teachable moment. I just didn't get it. That was a teachable moment.
Mhm.
I didn't gravitate to it. I become so inclined to discuss those and talk about those and let people see that there is an it may not be the answer for your specific situation,
Mhm.
but you can still understand that there's a concept that still meets what you're going through at that
Mhm.
time. And this concept still all boils down to something that's simplistic. See, I people look in amazement when I say, life is simplistic. It really is. It's designed to be simplistic. It truly has been.
We complicate it.
There it is. We've added that stuff to that heavy bag. We
Mm.
continue to compound it, compound it, compound it, and compound it. I tell a story about my wife going to Macy's one time, and I'm in the mall just people watching, getting ready to go home to write for a show. And she comes out of Macy's with two funny looking bags. And she comes home and asks me, or when she comes out the store, asks for what's in the bag. And she tells me, we'll see later. You'll see later. So when we get home, she says, you want to see what's in those bags? And I did. And she has two bags that I keep. One says today and one says tomorrow. And that's when I refer to that as light bag and heavy bag sometimes, because she says all the goofiness, the madness in the world, anything that you get, an email that you're not happy with, before you escalate on it, print it off, take it, put it in today, but then also write something back in positivity and put it into tomorrow. That way you're eliminating anything that potentially can be construed as being negative, and changing your mindset and rephrasing it and putting it back in perspective and making it the where your goal is for tomorrow. So these are the type of small things that I challenge people to do, to
Mhm.
when they're feeling like they can't get through it, when they still feel like it's not for them today, because again, today might be your last day. So
So you know.
push yourself through it, and also look at there's something positive that's coming out of everything that you do. Let's take the blinders off collectively, and let's push forward and find the goodness and the greatness in who we are and what we see in front of us, because guess what, we control what we see. And we control the thoughts we think, the actions we take, and the visions we see. That's on us.
And we
That's on.
control that right now.
Hmm.
And we
Absolutely.
can take action right now. And you're right. We don't know about what tomorrow holds. We have now.
Hmm.
And so waiting is too long. We have the ability to use this moment and seize this moment. And I think it's important for us to do just that.
Procrastination, the thief of time.
Mm. So, so there's so much work that you're doing to
Hmm.
motivate people and inspire them to take ownership of their lives and to live the best version of themselves. What do you see in the next 3 to 5 years for what you're doing, where you're headed?
Me personally, I see me changing over 1 million lives. I one change. I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I know simplistic, right? One changes two, two changes four, four
Mhm.
changes eight, eight changes.
Compound effect.
Yeah, it's definitely a compound effect. So I see this being a central message that where individuals can always review, can go back and revisit. I see the process, although I'm in season 6, there will be 10 series, then it will be wrapped up nice and pretty and be placed into a book. The book will be available for individuals as well. I will continue to speak. I'm going to be speaking here in the end of next month at a conference. I'm flying to Mobile, Alabama. So I'm going to be speaking there on perseverance. Great,
Oh,
great topic. Great topic. Speaking of perseverance with individuals. So continuing to share a message worldwide, continuing to partner with great individuals such as yourself to share a message of unity, to share a message of that we can not we can, we shall get through this. There won't be a time to where we won't look back. We got to look forward. And it's not so much for me. It's for not so much as I have 6 grandbabies. It's for their kids. I want their society to
legacy.
there,
Legacy.
there it is. I want that society to grow up and say that, hey, these pioneers that they're doing, what they're saying, they're talking from experience, from not only what they've seen, but what their parents and grandparents seen. And so I want this world to heal itself. I want our communities to get better, tighter, stronger. I want accountability to be there in all homes. Quit talking about it. I don't want to hear what they call it, armchair quarterback, a Monday morning quarterback. Don't talk about it. Get involved. I wrote the very first message that I wrote in the series of the process, in the series called The Foundation, was called Air. And I spelled it with an extra R because Mark Smith dares to be different, right? So I said account. It stands for accountability, integrity, responsibility, and respect. Air.
Gotta have the respect.
That's a foundation. That is a foundation of who we should be with inside ourselves. Accountable. Don't blame anybody. I could have blamed that for-profit school for closing its doors, which I
Mhm.
did. Again, I did. I blamed them and said they took something from me. No, you released me. You released me. You released the beast. You let me. You let me out that cage. You
Mm.
let me out that cage.
Yeah.
Let me out that cage. Integrity. Doing the things that you're supposed to do when people aren't looking. Being. It doesn't cost nothing to give a person a smile. It doesn't cost anything to help somebody out when you see it needs help. Being responsible. I've lived in 5 different states, right? I am responsible for individuals who I've come in contact with in all those states that I've come in contact with. I'm responsible to you now. We've had conversation, so
Mhm.
I'm responsible for you. Um, you know, I used to have that adage when I was a kid years ago. I used to say, "Not my monkey, not my circus," meaning it's not my problem. But in fact of the matter, what we're looking at today is because people didn't step up and say, "Hey, it is my problem. I
Mhm.
need to help figure it out." And the last and most important thing that I think is hindrance of us is that respect. I don't have to agree with everything that you say, but I owe you that facet to respect your opinion. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to agree with it, but it shouldn't come to the point to where we're name badging on social media, we're getting on TV name badging, where we're getting into physical altercations. I'm defaming you, defaming me. That's ridiculous. Agree to disagree, shake hands, and walk away. Be
Yeah.
done with it. Carry on with what your mission is and your goal is, and let that other person do what they need to do. So that's a core foundation: accountability, integrity, responsibility, and respect. And as soon as we all lock into that, and press that in all of our communities, and send that consistent message all the way around, then that's when that change, that comfortability of that change, is going to expedite and help us all grow to another
Yeah.
level.
And I hope that for anybody listening, they take away the word unity from this
Mhm.
conversation, from this episode, because that is something that is not promoted as much as it should be. And that is a beautiful vision for the future of where we could be and what we could aspire to is unified, because
Mhm.
a lot of sources of media would tell
Mhm.
us otherwise. And that is why it is important as individuals for us to recognize the power that we have to make change. And there's power in numbers. Coming
Mhm.
together with one, like you said, turns into 2 to 4 to 8 and so on, because that's us recognizing that we can embrace each other for our differences while
Mhm.
also being unified in our common mission
Mhm.
of service and community in the world.
Mhm.
So I want to end on a couple of questions, Mark, that people can get to know you and your
Mhm.
thinking a little bit more. Although all of your acronyms, I'm sure they've written down because they want to remember and speak them now into the ether that they're in. But my first question is in homage to the title of my podcast, which is Born Unbreakable, is what makes you unbreakable?
Understanding that I'm defined by what God says, not what other people think about me. I understand the fact that I have a mission. I understand that I'm laser focused, and I understand that there's nothing that can stop me from from reaching people who truly want to be reached. Can I change the world? Maybe not the entire world, but I have the ability to make an impact on individuals and change legacy for future generations. So I'm dialed in.
Absolutely. I love that. What's something that's on your bucket list?
Wow. um, Given a speech about growth and storms and habits at Caesar's Palace.
I love that. Oh, wow. I can see that.
uh,
I can see that. You have a gift and you have a way with words. And I think the more people you can get in front of to speak would be a good thing in this world. And that absolutely will continue changing a lot of legacies. Okay, what about a self-limiting belief? What is a self-limiting belief that you've had to overcome?
that everybody works as hard as me. Everybody works as hard as me. I thought that everybody had that passion and had that drive to get things done. But reality is no. They're quick to pass it to me and say, "You're gonna do it. You do it. We'll stay in the bed. We won't get up at 4:30." I had to realize that I had the choice to allow people to outwork me or not, and I would push myself and push others and realize others didn't have that same drive and motivation. And I had to just come to the realization that that's just the way life is. Others aren't going to embrace working as hard as I do.
Mm-mm. And that is why, going back to the conversation about circle and cage and designing your peer group or having a default, you have to be intentional about people that you choose around you, because you have to find the people that wake up at 4:30. They're not just readily available to you,
That's
right?
right. That's right. That is so true.
Okay, what about one of your superpowers? I can guess just based on us having this conversation, but what would you say one of your superpowers is that you're proud of, that you give to the world?
Motivating them to believe. Truly motivating them to believe that that it's possible. It is possible to overcome no matter what your situation is. Again, your why is greater than your situation, which is part of your process. Getting them to believe that they have a purpose. Their why is stronger than whatever they're going through, and they just need to push through that.
Couldn't have said it any better. Mark, if there was one last piece of advice that you could give to anybody listening, what would that be?
Their story is worth sharing, even if it only impacts one person. No matter what each of us go through, we have something that can change and help somebody else. We cannot be selfish anymore and keep those things that have occurred in our life in. Don't be ashamed of the things that have happened to you. They are learning experiences. It's what you were called to do. The trials and tribulations that you've gone through, they are to help somebody else at that point in time in their life. Share those. Don't be afraid to reach out to other individuals. Take the mask off. Truly take the mask off, take the hat off, and sit down and have a conversation and figure out how I can help my brother, how can I help my sister, how can that in turn help their family and other families to come. That's what I hope individuals will do from this point forward.
Oh, and I always say, one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference. It really does. And so often I see and hear people playing small. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. What's my story going to do? And they don't realize the power of that,
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. But the most important question, because I know that people are walking away inspired, recognizing their value, recognizing, or at least beginning to think, if they haven't thought about it already, the legacy that they want to leave, is how can people follow you? How can they continue to connect with the work that you're doing?
They can go right to my website, which is theprocessmarksmith.com. There's a section down at the bottom, and you can actually go in and you can send me an email. I will get it and I'll respond right back to you. You can also, again, every other bi-weekly, every other Saturday, I release a brand new message on any one of my series. Again, I'm in the series of If I Only Knew Then What I Know Now, which all of us can testify to. I do that on star107fm.com. So again, that information is right there on my website as well. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn under Mark Smith, under Instagram as well, under Within Your Process. Or you can also follow me on Facebook under Father and Friend. So all those social media outlets, you can follow me. Just connect. Again, connect with me. Allow me to, if I can't help guide you in the right way, at least give me an opportunity to help you connect with some resources to help you
Oh,
get to where you need to go. For all those who, all the corporate entities that are listening to your show, I would love to have an opportunity to have a conversation about speaking to your group, speaking to you. Anybody out there, if you, my messages aren't just for my messages are for everybody. My
mhm.
messages can help boost morale. My messages are there to take somebody inside that office that may be struggling right now, that may be struggling, and help turn that individual around and creating a solid, positive environment. So just connect with me, and we will work through some things that need to be worked with.
That is so amazing. And thank you for inviting that. Sometimes people just need the invitation to be able
Mhm,
to accept. We've
mhm,
come full circle with that word today, acceptance. And I want to invite everyone to follow you on those different platforms. I'll make sure that in the show notes those links are available so they're easy to access for anyone. I know people have different preferences of whether you're an Instagram or a LinkedIn or a Facebook
mhm,
person, and please don't make 10 more of these things for us to keep up with because it is work to figure
mhm.
out what platforms people are using. But I appreciate you just lending your time, your wisdom, your energy, your passion, and you're leaving a legacy right now just by way of this conversation, and because we have the modern technology to capture this, to people to re-listen to, or even if somebody doesn't get to this message until next year, or
Mhm,
next month. I mean, that's the beauty of doing this work, is
mhm.
we get people at the time that they need it, and can influence them today, tomorrow, and in the future. So thank you for your time to be able to do this good work today.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
That was such a powerful episode with Mark Smith. I feel so inspired and energized about my impact, about the future, about the teams that I work with. What a messenger. I told him after the interview, he is a vessel. He is a vehicle for inspiration and change. He carries that wisdom, and his presence and his poise is really amazing. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. I hope you wrote down those acronyms. Those are such a great way to put your head in the right space. There are many moments that I could highlight in this reflection about the episode with Mark, but there's two things that I would love to call out. One, and you may notice that it is thematic in my own message and the people that I bring on the show. He framed it in a different way today, but this concept of, do you have a circle or do you have a cage? I have not heard it framed in that way. I think that is such a neat way to look at it, because it's about growth. When you have a circle, you have the ability to harness this great potential and growth. When you have a cage, that's limiting. That is limiting. Are you limited by the resources and the people that you choose to have around you? Or are you growing and thriving and leaning into new ideas, new opportunities in the future? Such a great question to reflect on. And the second thing that I would invite you to do coming away from this episode is asking yourself, what legacy are you leaving behind? What do you want that to look like? He talked about these people that have made an impact in his life from years ago, that he carries their messages of wisdom and impact with him today. What message do you want people to say about you 10 years from now, 20 years from now, even when you're not here? Your grandkids, students, people that you've met, perfect strangers, if they had to say the impact that you made, what would they say? What would that sound like? I want to leave you with that. I think that's a beautiful note to end on. Happy spring, everyone. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that follow or that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And this is one I would absolutely encourage you to share. Share this episode with someone who needs inspiration, and absolutely follow Mark Smith on all his social platforms. Remember, you are your only limit. So take action today. Thanks again, and tune in. Tune in, because the motivation and the encouragement and the inspiration doesn't stop here. It continues as we march forward from episode 74. I believe that we're on to 75. We are making our way to almost 100. We're going to have to do something special as we celebrate moving into only 25 episodes away from being at our 100th episode. Pretty soon. All right. I'll see you next time.